Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this Metro Outer Development Assessment Panel of Thursday, the 4th of September. I declare the meeting open at 9:31. My name is Karen Hyde and I'm your presiding member for today. I'd like to start by acknowledging that we are hosting this meeting on the traditional lands of the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. We acknowledge the Aboriginal people as the traditional custodians of Western Australia and pay respects to elders past and present and the ongoing connection between people, land, waters and community. The meeting will be run in accordance with the DAP Standing Orders 2024 under the Planning and Development Assessment Panel's Regulations 2011. This meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the DAP website in accordance with Regulation 42A of those regulations, and members are reminded to announce their name and title prior to speaking. Panel members may refer to technical devices throughout the meeting to assist them in considering the information before them. I'll now introduce the panel members for today. As I say, my name is Karen Hyde. I'm your presiding member. On screen from the Shire of Mundaring, we have Councillor Prapti Mehta and Councillor Nerida Zlatnik, local government DAP members from the Shire of Mundaring. To my left, Clayton Hyam, Deputy Presiding Member, and on screen, excuse me, Nima Premji, Specialist Member. Later, we will be joined by local government members from the City of Swan, Councillor Rod Henderson and Councillor Jennifer Catalano. Item 2, apologies, we have none. Item 3, members on leave of absence, none. Item 4, noting of minutes. Minutes of previous meetings are available on the DAP website. First, for this part of the meeting, I would seek a disclosure of the declaration of due consideration. Could panel members please raise their hands to indicate they've duly considered all of the documentation in Part B of the agenda and Part B related information? Thank you very much. Due consideration has been given by all. I'll now look for disclosures of interest. Did members have any declarations at this point that they wish to raise? Could I ask Councillors Mehta and Zlatnik, was this matter considered at council at all?
No.
No. No. Okay, so we have no disclosures of interest for that part. So moving ahead, we will go to the presentations and question time on the item. For lot 51, number 17, Amherst Road, Swan View, for a proposed community purpose. We have one presenter today, Alan Stewart from Lateral Planning. We have others available for questions afterwards, I think. Alan, we've got Ron Mel, Sharon Goff and Carmel Mackay. Thank you. From Indigo Junction available for questions. Alan, I've allowed you 3 minutes for your presentation to draw our attention to the key points, and then we'll invite panel members for questions. So when you're ready.
Yeah, thank you very much, presiding member. Good morning. I'll be quite brief this morning because I don't think there's anyone else here speaking for or against the proposal. It is a community purpose that will be managed by Indigo Junction and will provide essential crisis accommodation and support services for people affected by family domestic violence. A very important facility and self-contained accommodation units, and there'll be an administration building where staff will provide day-to-day support services for those residents. Indigo is well versed at managing these sorts of facilities and run a number of them around the Midland wider area. Look, it is a community purpose, but just to emphasise, it's not a public property centre by any means, and residents get referred to Indigo Junction before they move into the facility, and the staff there only provide services for those residents. If you look at some of the objections, I get the impression some people thought it was some sort of public property facility, and it's definitely not that at all. It's a very discreet residential accommodation facility for the people I mentioned. It's a really well located site, close to 3 schools in the district, not far from some of the other essential services that the residents might need. There's a bus service that runs down Amherst Road past the site, and Amherst Road is a local distributor road. There's a local road behind the site, Markham Way, and there's no access to the facility from that street. There's a pedestrian gate there for emergency use only. Well, in terms of time planning, I think it's fairly straightforward. The main issue, I think, raised by the community, car parking, as usual. There's no specific parking standard for this use, but the Shire and myself, I think we're on the same page. We look at it as a residential building and office. We've got 13 car bays on the site, which we're more than comfortable is adequate to meet demand. As Indigo can testify to this, very few of the residents here have access to their own private car. Most of them don't have a car. And the number of staff at the site is not more than 6 or 7 during the week, dropping off to 3 or 4 on weekends. So there's a little diagram in my presentation, usual type of diagram that I often do. It shows how we can allocate these car bays to meet demand from residents, any visitors and staff to the facility. So we're very comfortable with the number of car bays. Indigo actually run a small facility next door on Amherst Road, and that's got a little bit of a surplus of car parking as well, if need be, but we don't think we'll need to rely on that. So that we're comfortable that the amount of parking is more than adequate to meet demand. We're very happy with the Shire's recommendation. We've worked with them during this process as usual. And we submitted all the usual technical reports as required. I did note in my presentation today, we're happy with the conditions, but there's about 5 conditions relating to acoustic issues, and I thought there could be scope to tidy it up a little bit by combining conditions 13 and 17. Existing condition 17 can then be deleted, and then modifying condition 19. I'm personally okay with it because I understand it, but you know, a year down the track it could become a bit confusing. So I've put that out there, just should you wish to tidy anything up, and I've run that past Andrew at the Shire, but I'm not sure what his position is on that. But that's all. So we look forward to your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I'll now invite panel members to ask questions of the presenter, and noting that we also have members of Indigo Junction available to answer questions too. So, Councillor Mehta, you have questions?
Just a bit of a clarification, please. I looked at the related information that was sent out, which refers to 1 ACROD parking, but page 2 of our officer's report, I think condition G, refers to 2 ACROD parking bays. So I just wanted clarifications on what we are expecting here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. There's definitely 2 ACROD bays, and that's on the drawings, and it's prepared. Because one of the accommodation units is an accessible unit, it has to have an ACROD bay dedicated to that unit. Even if the resident doesn't need an ACROD bay, they can still use it, but it can't be a shared bay. And then because we have other car bays for staff, we then also need to provide a general use ACROD bay. So we have to have 2. I've confirmed that with our traffic engineer because we weren't sure. So there's one either side of that access zone. So definitely 2 ACROD bays.
Thank you.
Did you have other questions, Councillor Mehta?
No.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Zlatnik, did you have questions? Yes.
Just one following on from the presentation. I just wanted to find out whether or not the Shire staff were happy with those amendments to those acoustic conditions.
Okay, we'll put that to the Shire staff shortly. Just directing question to the presenter at the moment. Did you have anything for the applicant that you wish to ask?
Nothing further.
All right, thank you. Member Premji, did you have questions of the applicant?
Yes, thank you for the presentation. You've mentioned that you've got an adjoining operation. Are the 2 operations going to be operating independently, or are you expecting the staff to cross over from one to the other?
I'll answer that first, but my client might step in. But they're separate independent facilities, very much so. There is a pedestrian gate between them, should there be a need for staff to come and go, but they're definitely operated separately, and I think they might be under separate operational management regimes. Did you want to elaborate on?
Certainly, that's correct. So the refuge next door will operate separately, although there's personal access in between, in that there's 2 separate service agreements through the department around the service delivery model. So they will be separate.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. I had no further questions.
Thank you. Member Hyam, questions?
based on some of the objections that have been made, is there an operational management plan for the one next door?
The existing one. I don't know. Is there-
Absolutely. I guess just in terms of I mean, the refuge next door is never really like we've got thorough risk management and kind of security management systems as a refuge and domestic violence and homelessness accommodation provider. Certainly there's comprehensive plans around the way that the operations are managed, any disruptive behaviour, but there has been zero incidents. We've gone through into preparation for this submission around the number of incidents. Just by nature of family and domestic violence services, they operate with a degree of security and discretion that really, I'd be surprised if many of the residents are even aware that the current facility is there. Comprehensive operational management plan in the background.
So
And that's quite a small facility, isn't it?
That's for 4 large families, but that's also kind of supporting the same client group.
So how do you manage complaints, external complaints? Do they?
Yeah. So we've got, we're a community housing provider, so we're compliant with the regulatory requirements as a community housing organisation. So we have a tenancy management team. We also have an executive management team. So depending on the nature of the complaint, we've got thorough processes. In terms of it might be a neighbour makes a complaint, we will determine at that point the nature of the complaint, and then there's a process that needs to be compliant with our registration as that provider, and also within our specialist homeless service standards. We need to be compliant with that as well. So it might be that someone will go out, meet with the neighbour, determine what the nature of the complaint was like, do an investigation, come back to that person with the outcome and manage, the incident. But I need to say this, Amherst Road, where the facility is, there has been none.
No, but the process is there.
Most certainly is a thorough process.
And so that process will apply to this new one as well?
Yep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is the new facility will be staffed 24/7. So we anticipate 2 staff on site at all times to coordinate and have oversight in terms of security and manage things, should they occur in a really timely manner. And there's also a 24-hour on-call in the background and that can support that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So typically for one of these facilities, what percentage of the occupants would have a car?
Certainly when we look at our current, we also deliver a family service. So that is 5 on-site units for young people under 25 who are parenting. And then we have another, I think it's about 21 properties scattered between Bassendean and Swan View. I'd say it would be less than half, most certainly. Certainly for the young parents family service, it might be 1 within the 5 unit complex. So I would say less than half.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've allocated, I think it's 6 car bays to the accommodation element of it. And then there's staff bays. And then at night time and weekends, those staff bays can help if there's any visitors on weekends and that time.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Helen, you're comfortable with all of the conditions, but you did mention that it's not exactly a community purpose in that it's not open to the public. Are you still comfortable with condition 3 that requires public art?
I hadn't thought of that. It looked like a fairly standard condition, so I don't usually tend to worry too much at the initial meetings, come back later. I hadn't actually thought of the public art element of it. Any comments? I mean, I think we talked about public art, didn't we, doing something? Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we're happy for it to go, but we're also happy for it to stay. If that's
Certainly it would align with some of the other work that we've done. We're currently constructing a large youth accommodation service in Midland.
Yep.
And part of that public art requirement would be a call out expression of interest to Aboriginal community to come in and work with us and co-design what that might look like.
So you see a benefit to having that integrated.
So yes.
Okay, thank you for that. And there were some comments through the submissions about Markham Way and the gate and the public access. Could you just reiterate how that's going to be managed?
Well, I believe it's a lock gate, and it's really only for emergency evacuation purposes. It's not a gate that residents or visitors can come and go through.
Okay.
But that's for security reasons.
So no SEPTED issues from your point of view. No. Okay, all right. Those are all my questions of the presenter. We'll now go to questions of the officers. And we're joined by Scott, Shakofa and Andrew. Our first, Councillor Zatnik, I think you had a question that you wish to put to the officers.
Thank you. Yes, I just wanted to get confirmation that they were happy with the amendments to the conditions that had been put forward in the RA from the applicant. That was all.
Over to the Shire. Thank you.
I'm happy with the amendment conditions. However, one thing was missed. It's about the outdoor play area. That needs to be complying with the noise regulation as well.
Sorry, the sound quality is not great. Could you repeat that? Something about the outdoor play area?
Yeah, that outdoor play area was not mentioned in the amended acoustic assessment. It needs to comply with the noise regulation as well.
Sorry, I think condition 16 covers that. I'm not suggesting that be deleted.
All right. So just back to the Shire, and in terms of the question that Councillor has raised, condition 16 still notes that play areas shall be utilised in accordance with the Environmental Protection Noise Regulation 97. The applicant is not suggesting that that should change at all. So is the Shire comfortable that that's not changing?
Yeah, I will put some time, maybe like a time frame there from what time to what time it should be used as well. So it's not going over the time limit. Yeah.
You haven't got a condition in here related to that.
Okay, that's okay. As soon as it's complying with the noise regulation, that should be okay.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay. Councillor Zlatnik, did you have other questions of the officers? No. Councillor Mehta, you have some questions for the officers.
Yes, and it relates to the condition 16. I had a question to ask, can we add a condition to state that the play areas are only to be utilized during the daytime? Is it possible to add a condition similar to what we would generally do for childcare centres, for example?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I think you're muted.
No, we're hearing you.
Yes, that's what I meant. Like I wanted to have like a time frame from what time to what time the outdoor play area can be used. Yeah, so it's not going over the time, you know, and we get noise complaints from the neighbors because there are a lot of residential premises around as well.
Does do the noise regulations not deal with that adequately?
Not the time frame. It's 7 to 7 p.m. But after 7 o'clock is where the noise the sensitive time starts. But we would like to ensure that this time is also like they can mention it in the noise management plan as well if they wish to.
Okay, well that's up to the panel to determine. Thank you. Councillor Mehta, did you have some other questions of the officers?
No.
Okay. Member Premji, did you have questions of the officers?
Yes. There is a existing building on the site from what I can gather, and it's going to be demolished. Do they need a application for that, or is it incorporated in this?
Yep. They'll definitely need a demolition permit.
Okay, so will that'll be done separate? You don't need anything in these conditions?
No, that'll be done separately.
Okay, all right. Thank you. That's all I needed to know. Thanks.
Thank you. Member Hyam, did you have questions of the officers?
Yes, thank you. Just as a follow-up, can you explain the areas that you're looking to control in terms of noise after hours? Is it just the residence hub area and the gathering area? Or is it outdoor spaces of all the units?
Outdoor space, car parks, and also the acoustic, the plant as well, and the equipment they're using.
So even though this is trying to emulate a residential area or residential, you want to restrict the noise that the individual families might be able to make in their outdoor area over and above requirements of the legislation.
I mean, still considered as kind of a commercial as well. It's not only residential. Like there are a lot of there will be lots of people using the facility. We want to make sure that the noise is not breaching. As long as it's complying with the noise regulation, that should be all good.
So if it's complying with the noise regulations, you won't need to restrict the hours.
Except the play area. So we would like to know, like, from what time frame to what time frame the play area is being used. This is very common in facilities that's being used by a lot, like communal facilities, like when you look at apartments or like other facilities that are being used by a lot of people, there are like restriction on timing.
So when you say the play area, you mean the residence hub area?
The outdoor play area, yes.
Yeah. Well, there's a gathering area and there's a residence hub area.
Gathering area as well, yeah. We just want them to comply with the noise regulation, that there are no gatherings happening at 10 p.m. or anything like that, yeah.
Could I just follow up with a question? Does the Shire place restrictions on parks within the Shire that have playground equipment that they're not able to be used in the evening?
There's no restriction on the parks, but this is not considered as a park, though.
Well, my point is that you might have a park next to a residential neighbourhood and children might be playing there in the evening.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with the difference between having something where a number of children can congregate on a Shire asset, which is not controlled, versus, a handful of children in a fairly domestic situation as we are faced with here, and the Shire wishing to control that play time beyond the environmental noise regulations. I'm not understanding why you should want to control it in this situation.
Because there are residential premises around there, and this play area is not considered as a public open space. Like this play area is not open to the public. It's just being used for people that are actually living in this facility, and it's considered as a residential premises. They need to comply with the noise regulation. They're not exempt from the noise regulation.
Indeed
you
not.
can't put any exemption there.
No, indeed not. That's what condition 16 talks about, the noise regulations. So I'm just trying to understand why you wish to go above and beyond.
There's no exemption on this property that can beyond around that time. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Member Hyam has a further question.
Just on condition 16, do you acknowledge or accept maybe that condition 16 is invalid in that it's not really a planning condition that relates to other legislation?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's what I meant. That can be addressed in the noise management plan. Yeah.
And possibly the residents at next door at number 60 Markham Way, they might have children who could play to all hours out in their backyard.
Yeah, but they also need to comply with the noise regulation.
Yes, exactly. So there's no time restriction on them.
There are no time restriction, but it's only one residential premises, which this one is multiple people living within the same building. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Member Premji, you had a further question?
Yes, I'm concerned because what the officers are asking is going beyond the regulation. But have you had complaints? Because there is a similar facility next door, and we've talked about that. Have you had complaints?
We never received any complaints, but that facility is a lot smaller than what is proposed now. Yeah.
It doesn't matter the size. What matters is the children are still there. They will be going outside in the backyard and playing or whatever the situation is. Have you had complaints?
But number of people are less than what is proposed in that facility.
I think the answer is no, haven't had complaints, Member Premji.
No, we haven't received any complaints.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks.
Councillor Mehta, you have your hand up for questions.
Yes, and I know that I asked if we could have a condition about those daytime periods, but having listened to the questions and the responses, I think I'm comfortable with condition 16 the way it stands. We've got women with who are coming to this building in very, very difficult circumstances with young children, and then to restrict those young children or older children from playing outside, which is what children do, particularly in summertime, I think that would be not appropriate. I did hear from the applicant that they have procedures in place to manage complaints. And so if there is a complaint, I'm assuming that that would be dealt with properly. So I think that retaining condition 16 the way it stands would be appropriate. I wouldn't be able to support an additional condition to restrict outdoor playing time for children.
Right. Thank you. I'll just go, as it's question time, just go back to the applicant to confirm how activity is managed in respect of amenity for surrounding residential areas. Perhaps you could respond.
Yeah, well, I'll start, and you might want to
Certainly.
dip in. Look, as Mr. Hyde said, we don't even need the condition about the EPA noise regs because they stand as a separate bit of legislation, and we acknowledge that we're happy with that. The condition's fine. We certainly would not support any further restriction on use of those play areas because the noise regs cover it. There is a separate condition about noise management plan, which will, I guess, be back and forth with the Shire on in due course. We think the conditions more than adequately cover this issue in terms of how you manage facilities. Yeah, did you want to?
Well, certainly. Well, they're staffed 24/7, so like even it might be evening activities. The staff on site would be supporting the noise management and behaviour management on site.
All right, thank you for that. If there are no further questions actually, I do have one for the officers. Condition 9 talks about visual quality signage should not detract or erode visual qualities. How do you define visual qualities?
Well, I suppose from a planning perspective, we would have regards to the matters listed under clause 67 of the deemed provisions. And under our signage local laws, there's provisions also about maintenance and the appearance of signage generally.
Okay, thank you. So you have something to fall back on to assist you with that
Yes.
definition.
Yes.
Okay, lovely. Thank you for that. So if there are no further questions, we'll move ahead to the item. And we have a responsible authority report recommendation to accept this as a community purpose use compatible with the objectives of the zoning table and to approve the application in association with a number of conditions. So I'm seeking a mover, please, for that as the primary motion. Thank you, Councillor Mehta. I'm then seeking a seconder for that motion. Thank you very much, Councillor Zlatnik. Councillor Mehta, as mover, would you like to speak to the motion, please?
Yes, and I'm very pleased to, I'll just bring up my notes. I'm very pleased to move this motion because in my view, this proposal is not just a building application. I think it represents a very important community service that provides safety, dignity, and hope for women and children escaping violence. And we know that that has been on the increase for a while now. In accordance with our own local planning scheme, we are required to consider the impact of the proposal on amenity character as well as on matters such as traffic, car parking, noise. And in my view, this proposal, I think, has been designed very carefully, and I'm confident that it will be run quite professionally to reduce any impact on neighbours while at the same time delivering an essential service. Now, I do need to, as a Shire councillor, acknowledge that there have been a number of public concerns. However, I note the following, that our own LPS 4 does not stipulate parking requirements for community purpose, and it's up to the Shire's discretion as to how parking requirements are set. And I am comfortable with the way our officers have assessed this and decided that parking will be related in this instance as they would to office buildings. I've also noted that our own infrastructure service does not foresee the development having any adverse impact on the local street network, and there is likely to be only a minor and manageable increase in traffic volumes. I also note that the Shire officers have no concerns with the amount of parking being proposed, even though it is lesser than what would necessarily have been required for an office building, but they have stated that there is no concern. And I also note that the applicant has made reasonable efforts to provide parking requirements, including surplus parking at their additional facility if it's necessary. So I'm satisfied that traffic impacts have been adequately addressed. I also am pleased to note that the applicant has adequately addressed and provided mitigations to manage acoustic noises. I note that landscaping has been proposed to enhance the verge. Currently, the site, as we noted, has a dilapidated building and shrubs, and I note that landscaping plan has been submitted with a condition for it to be maintained. And also, I'm comfortable with the applicant stating public art will be used to enhance the facilities, perhaps, or the neighborhood. Now, while it's natural for neighbors to have questions and get upset by these sort of things, I believe that refuges provide safety, they reduce strain on our community, on emergency services, and they reflect the values of a compassionate and resilient community. So I have no hesitation in recommending approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mehta. Councillor Zlatnik, as seconder, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you. I think actually Councillor Mehta has summed up most of my points really well. I think it's a much needed support for those vulnerable in our community, and I do appreciate the consideration that officers have put to this motion, particularly with addressing community concerns. So I'm happy with it as it is.
Thank you, Councillor Zlatnik. Other speakers who are against the motion? Member Premji, did you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, I'm for the motion. I support what Councillor Mehta and Zlatnik has said. And yes, I think all the concerns that has been expressed, the applicant has addressed them, and the conditions are there to ensure that. So I'm very much in support of the development application. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Premji. Member Hyam, did you wish to speak?
Yes, thank you. Look, I'm very supportive of the proposal. I think it's well designed. It's particularly for its location and the odd shape of the site. I went out there on the weekend, had a bit of a look around, and I thought, well, of all locations, this is a good one for use like this. The parking, I agree that there's no requirement for the parking, but I think from what I've heard, you're going to provide sufficient parking, and there is an alternative if necessary. What I want to do, though, is I'd like to move an amendment to move condition 16 to an advice note.
Yes, okay. Condition 16 moved to advice note, moved by Member Hyam. Is there a seconder, please, for that? Yes. Seconded by Member Premji. Would you like to speak to that motion, Member Hyam?
Yes, thank you. There is no need for a condition where separate legislation applies no matter what. Even if the condition was not there, the requirement still stands. So really moving it to an advice note is just a reminder to the applicant, although even that is not necessary.
Thank you. Member Premji is seconder. Would you like to speak to that motion, amending motion?
No, I'm happy with what's been said. Thank you.
Any other speakers just on the amending motion? If not, we'll put the amending motion to the vote. Those in favour of the amendment 1, unanimous. Thank you. Back to you, Member Hyam.
No, I think that's all I need to say. A lot of good things can only come from this sort of development. Thank you.
Right, thank you. I will speak to the motion. I'm very comfortable with this use. Familiar with the location and the site. I think it's an excellent opportunity to accommodate those in crisis, but also to enable a level of integration with a regular community and all the benefits for mental health that can bestow. It's a fairly residential domestic scale development, albeit in a different density typology to that which surrounds it, but I think it's been very cleverly and carefully done. There are no unforeseen impacts overlooking and overshadowing or anything of that nature. So it's a well-contained development. I too am quite comfortable with the parking analysis, the demand analysis, and like the Shire officers note that technically there's a shortfall, but I think for the user group that we're dealing with here, which isn't going to change, the parking demand could be fairly limited. So in that respect, I'm very comfortable with it. There's a lot that complies with the R codes generally, even the deemed provisions, and some minor variations in terms of setbacks. But again, this doesn't cause any impact on neighbouring land uses or the amenity of future residents. I would, however, like to move a couple of further amending motions. Amendment 2 would be to basically combine condition 13 and 17 as per the applicant's request. Combine conditions 13 and 17, yes, and therefore delete 17 as it becomes redundant. That would be my amendment 2. Do I have a seconder for that, please? Thank you, Member Premji. I'll just briefly speak to that. I think there is a little bit of duplication and potential for ambiguity there. So not losing any of the intent of either condition, but just streamlining them into a consolidated condition, I think aids with the understanding of what is required should the players around the table at the moment not be participating at some time in the future, should this be built over the next 4 years. So that's my reasoning. Member Premji, did you wish to speak to that?
No, I agree with you, should be clarified. And maybe condition 19, I don't know whether it's going to come up next.
Right. I'll come to that, yes. Thank you.
But no, thank you very much. I don't have anything further to say.
Okay. Any other speakers on that amendment? If not, I'll put that amendment to the vote. Those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. I'll make one further amendment again in consideration of the applicant's request, and that is to edit condition 19 again to sort of provide a level of clarity. So is there a seconder, please, to amend condition 19? Member Premji. I think it's self-explanatory from my point of view. I don't think I need to say any more. Member Premji, did you wish to speak to the amending motion?
No, I agree with you. It's quite self-explanation. Yeah.
Any other speakers on amending motion 3? If not, I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour? That's unanimous again. Thank you. I don't have any further amendments to make. And as everybody has spoken at least once, I will go back to Councillor Mehta for right of reply and closure of debate.
Look, as I said before, I'm very comfortable with the application. The applicant, I note again, has protocols in place. They've talked about security systems, operational procedures to manage issues. Across Perth, I've looked at some of similar refuges, such as Andrea Mea. They've been integrated quite discreetly into communities and very successfully without any disruption. In my view, this application stands as appropriate, beneficial. It will integrate quietly and respectfully and provide a very, very important community service. So I have no hesitation in asking the panel to unanimously support this application. Thank you.
Thank you. The debate is now closed. We'll put the substantive motion as amended to the vote. Those in favour? That's a unanimous decision. Thank you. That closes out that item. We have no other items to consider, no Form 2 or Section 31 applications. So at this point, I'll thank Councillor Nerida Zlatnik and Councillor Praktimeta for their attendance. Thank also the local government members from the Shire of Mundaring for their attendance and participation. Thank the applicant for attending. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I should have also acknowledged Diana Goldflame, the architect, who it has been very well designed. I forgot. I should give you a few points. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
I like your haircut. It's too late.
All right. At this point, we welcome our local government members from the City of Swan, Councillor Rod Henderson and Councillor Jennifer Catalano. We're also joined by Mr. Philip Russell, officers from the City of Swan. I'd like to confirm again that all panel members have duly considered the documentation within Part C of the agenda and Part C related information with a show of hands, please. Thank you. Due consideration has been given by all. I'll then go to the question of disclosures of interest. I've not received any. Did any member have a disclosure of interest they wish to raise at this point? No? Elected members, Councillor Henderson and Councillor Catalano, was this matter considered at council?
No.
No, thank you. So we don't have any disclosures of interest. Therefore, we will move ahead with presentations on the item and questions associated for lot 14, number 117 James Street, Guildford, for a proposed extension to the Sterling Arms Hotel. We have one presenter today, Jess Casserly from Calder Hospitality Limited. And she provided a written submission, which we've all had and had a chance to consider. Jesse is available for questions, and you have with you a colleague,
David Elder.
David Elder. So Jesse and David Elder are available for questions. So I'll look to the elected members on the screen. Councillor Henderson, did you have questions of the applicant?
Apart from the many objections that we've received, were there any more?
No, that was it.
I can come back to you if questions do come to mind. Councillor Catalano, did you have any questions of the applicant?
No.
Thank you. Member Premji, did you have questions of the applicant?
Yes, please. Just a couple. The first one is, what is the container used for now? You mentioned the container is on site. Is it used for anything?
Yeah, it's been there for over a decade. It's just currently used for storage. So the whole space at the back that we're turning into the family dining area was just a services and storage space. So empty kegs and, you know, Christmas furniture, all that sort of thing. So there's two shipping containers there that is used for storage.
So it's already on site. Okay.
Yeah.
The other one was just, are you going to be doing a separate application for the sign? The sign of the hotel? Or I know you've put it in the report what it's going to be, but is there a need for you to do a separate application?
I don't think so. Which sign would that be? Just in terms of the signage?
Yeah, just a separate hotel or restaurant. You've put a partially object. It's condition number 6.
Oh, above the campaign.
I mean, there'll be a new signage coming in. I mean, we did detail the signage on our DA application. And I guess the query is also regarding, you know, the city's comment that we need to do a separate signage plan, but that's okay.
Okay. All right. No, that's all I had. No, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Member Hyam, questions of the presenter?
Thank you. Just want to ask a little bit more about the use of the family garden area and the request for it to extend to 10 p.m.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, I guess what impact do you think, you obviously don't, but do you think it has any impact at all on the neighbours?
I mean, we don't think so. All the neighbours we've spoken to are all for the playground. We are happy to concede to 9 o'clock if we need to, but with the kitchen being open to 9, and we do have some families in summer who stay until 8:30, 9 o'clock watching the footy and stuff. It would just seem a bit weird to be kicking everyone out while they're in the middle of eating dinner, and that's why we've suggested 10 o'clock. Perhaps 9:30 is more reasonable. Yeah.
And in terms of the occupancy of the premises, I presume at the moment there's no maximum occupancy requirement other than the health.
Yeah, we've got the health codes at the moment. Yeah, the venue at the moment would trade above 400 people. So to all of a sudden, I guess, increase the size of the hotel but reduce our total capacity to 400 would be unsustainable on the whole development. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to come back to the sea container.
Yep.
You're saying there's 2 there now, I think.
There is 2. There has been 2 for over a decade there. Yep. We are happy to compromise and perhaps install cladding over the container that will be in view of the family dining area to, I guess, lose that shipping container effect. The secondary one is behind a private fence and is not visible to anyone.
Okay, so that could be part of the condition then too.
Yeah, we're happy to compromise and to clad it. Once it's cladded, it theoretically is just a structure. But for us to remove that and install a whole new structure, we feel is a bit more unsustainable.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Just again, a couple of questions from me in terms of the submission that you've made. You've questioned the need for condition 10 requiring a detailed landscape plan. Just wondering why that's the case, because what we have before us in our package is called a landscape concept. So it's not in a final version, if you will. So just wondered why you objected to that condition to provide an update.
I guess we provided the landscaping, I guess, palette. But if we really need to go further, we can. But we just thought that it detailed the trees, the trees we were providing, and the trees and shrubbery in their location. Just didn't think it would need to go further than that.
Okay, all right.
The nature-based playground.
Okay. And the issue with the archaeological assessment, you're not comfortable with the condition requiring you to do that?
Well, the notes from the Heritage Council just let me just bring that up. All kind of contract to be made aware of the potential material during excavation works and a clear procedure to be in place. So we have that procedure in place, and all our contractors will be aware of it, and that effectively meets what the Heritage Council were asking. To go and have a further person to come on site would A, delay the project, B, it also feels above and beyond what the Heritage Council actually asked for on that space.
Okay, thank you. If there are no further questions of the applicant, of David or Jesse, Member Hyam has a further question.
Just going to condition 19, why would you still want to put streamers and bunting around the hotel and make it look like?
I guess the question was why that's being included on a planning. This for a pub that's been trading for 150 years. For example, there is bunting used for the British Lions tour, for St. Patrick's Day, hospitality venue. What's that?
Birthdays.
And birthdays, like people put up balloons and other sorts of things in the hotel and private function space. I'm just kind of unsure why that's being included here when it's got nothing to do with the extensions of the hotel.
So if it was no bunting to be erected from public view from the street or something like that.
I mean, yeah, I guess we can have a look at something like that. But yeah, that's why we didn't really clarify that within the condition. And we have multiple private function spaces. We have a hotel inside there. Just didn't seem relevant.
Just didn't think it should look like a used car yard.
Yeah, but that's not our intention at all, and that's not. Yeah. So happy to see that gets altered to perhaps not within public view. That's understandable.
Or maybe a temporary. So for special events and things like that, we could and just not make it a permanent thing.
All right, thank you. That might be timely to go to Mr. Russell at the city then for questions of the officers. We can come back to David and Jesse for further follow-up if needs be. So to members on screen, Councillor Henderson, did you have any questions for Mr. Russell?
Well, I guess the main question would be, looking at the objections, does Mr. Russell have any concerns or issues around them all?
Over to you, Phil.
Thank you, presiding member. Objection. I think there was only one objection, so this is reversed the trend, I suppose, in terms of redevelopment proposals in Guildford. So, and as the report indicates, the nature of the objection was with respect to qualified conditional support. Actually, raised the issue of the sea container. There was one other concern raised with respect to noise, although that wasn't one of the proximate neighbours. That was a property some distance from the premises. So in short, to answer the question, no, I'm quite comfortable that there is nothing from the public that really engages with the relevant considerations here. It's more with respect to the Guildford conservation policy and the requirements around heritage that are the salient issues in this application, and parking, of course.
I guess the question that arises from the heritage matter is that, of course, the hotel has been part of the heritage for a long time. So the converse argument might be that a continuation along the lines that they're suggesting would be appropriate. So maybe there is a differential there, Mr. Russell. I just don't see how we could ramp it up just because they're doing a redevelopment.
Sorry, presiding member, I don't understand whether that's a question or a statement.
All right,
probably a combination of both.
Was your question around the condition of approval? Were there any particular conditions that you wish to request some clarification on?
No, I'm clear about what the conditions are and what the applicant is asking for. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Catalana, did you have any questions of Mr. Russell?
No, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Member Premji, any questions of Mr. Russell?
I guess one question I wanted to ask was some of the conditions like the bunting and all that. Are they just standard conditions you usually put in your development applications? Because it doesn't seem to be much very appropriate here.
Well, I would have to disagree with that statement. You've got to remember, presiding member, that we're talking about a state-registered heritage town. So the aesthetics of Guildford are probably as important or more important than any other part of Perth metro area. So I do understand the applicant's issue with respect to promotional material, etc. And some of that, of course, can be temporary. But certainly in Guildford, all developments, including commercial developments, and this is reflected in the restrictions around signage and other material, need to keep with a heritage aesthetic. So I think the condition is appropriate. It's generally appropriate, but very specifically appropriate within a state-registered heritage area such as Guildford, and where you have these sterling arms sitting proud on the main thoroughfare through the town.
Okay, and with respect to the heritage, the advice from the Heritage Council, I see you've taken the advice and put them into conditions. Given it's a very old site, 150 year plus, etc. I mean, does the Shire really need to have a full heritage assessment, archaeological assessment done, given that the applicant has a procedure in place to ensure that the contractors are aware of how to go about working in that particular area?
I would disagree to make the claim it's a full archaeological assessment. The Guildford policy, so the heritage, you've got to remember there's two things here. There's the advice of the Heritage Council, and then there are specific provisions with respect to the Guildford policy, heritage policy. Now, this site is identified as a site of moderate archaeological significance or potential significance. And the policy states in relation to that you have a watching brief. So when I often find with planning conditions, the language that you use may be misleading to people and certainly may be misleading or confusing to applicants. But certainly what's intended there in terms of an impact statement is effectively that an archaeologist will indicate that there are certain processes that will be in place should anything be discovered, and something like that is sufficient with respect to meeting this condition, where, as I said, the policy requires a watching brief. So it may well be that the applicant or the applicant might need to do in relation to that is to have a discussion with an archaeologist or a qualified heritage person with experience in that area to provide a standard arrangement. This is what we'll do, and that will suffice if something is discovered when they disturb the ground, and that will suffice to meet the condition. So the condition probably connotates more work and expense than really what's required, and that's probably just the perception in relation to the language used in the condition.
Okay, all right. So thanks for that. Thank you.
If I might just follow up on that question from Member Premji with Mr. Russell, the applicant in their submission to us for consideration today actually included, if you like, a process of work for unexpected archaeological finds, a procedure. Is it that sort of document, Mr. Russell, that you're looking to have submitted in response to condition 15?
Well, presiding member, you'll have to forgive me. I don't have the benefit of the documentation that you as panellists may have received from the applicant, so I couldn't comment. It may well be entirely the case that that is sufficient, but let me suggest this if I can. I think if the applicant's already provided something, if the panel sees fit to approve that with these conditions, I'm quite certain, more likely than not, than what he has provided will suffice. But I can't comment on that which I haven't seen.
Oh, all right. Okay, thank you. Member Hyam, did you have questions of Mr. Russell?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Russell, just on a couple of points that the applicants have raised around conditions which might alter almost retrospectively their current function. The first relates to condition 3, which is the hours of operation, and the condition 3 is suggesting a 9 o'clock finish for the family garden area, where the kitchen actually doesn't close until 9. So assuming that, you know, people have still got orders at 5 to 9, they'll still be eating those, and the applicant has requested that could be changed to 10 p.m. Would you have any objection to that for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday?
Well, the condition that's been put in there for the purposes of on the balance of probabilities, or at least on the modelling for noise, it's been put in there based on the applicant's acoustic assessment, which took the parameters of operation in terms of, it even went a bit further in terms of the numbers of people expected to be in the area and the hours of operation. So what I tend to do in these things there is that if an application proposes a licensed premises or a new area to be licensed that's outdoors, then obviously, and certainly this location is proximate to surrounding residences, then we do look at what the acoustic assessment indicates. And the acoustic assessment says, well, subject to certain parameters, in this instance here, having a solid 1.8 metre metal or other dense fence along the boundary between the parking area and the residential property, and limiting the hours of operation, or at least with the hours of operation indicated at comply. Now, then we usually mirror those in conditions. It may well be, and I don't, and don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem. I'm comfortable enough, given that this facility seems to be operating quite well, It doesn't have the noise complaints that the premises has under previous proprietors from years ago. The what is being proposed quite rightly looks quite exciting and beneficial to the community, and that's reflected in the numbers of favourable public submissions. From mine, it may well be that you could alter that to 10 p.m. If it performs and does well and there's no issues, not a problem. But as we know, even with those conditions in there, if they still breach the noise regs in reality, then as has been pointed out by the panel here, I think on the previous item, then the environmental protection noise regulations have separate applications. So in short, I'm not opposed to the notion of modifying that condition to change the use of the family garden area to the rear is restricted to no later than 10 p.m.
Thank you. And similarly,
Sorry, can I just on that condition?
Please do. Yes.
Phil, and you still think it's necessary to say with no amplified music permitted?
I would say more so. I think the notion of and you got to remember, we're not limiting the numbers of people in that outdoor area. Okay, I don't know how experienced the panelists are with busy licensed premises in WA. I won't be abashed at saying that I'm quite experienced with them. I know how noisy outdoor areas can get, but if you're limited to the noise of people and families, important, don't forget we've got probably excitable children in this area. Human noise and people noise in groups is one thing, but when you've got that and you add it to amplified music, it can be an issue. So look, I think ultimately the way the city takes a pragmatic approach is that if you're looking at amplified music in some instances there, then you have an acoustic assessment which sets out the parameters in which you need to operate. I haven't had the benefit, unfortunately, of discussing these matters with Jessie as I normally would prior to these coming to the DAP to work out whether they've got any issues with it and try and resolve issues with conditions. But I think certainly if you're pushing it to 10 p.m, I think in the first instance I'd be inclined to recommend that the condition on no amplified music stays at this juncture. That doesn't mean the applicant can't change it subsequently with a bit more technical documentation and support.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Russell, in terms of condition 4, the applicant is suggesting that it currently trades at a capacity above 400 persons, and yet condition 4 is looking to limit that.
I'll have to pretend I didn't hear that, presiding member, because the certificate of occupancy for the premises is limited to, I think, 285. So
the band room we have is a 275 occupancy on the health certificate. We have 105 in the lounge bar, and then we have a beer garden that has not been given an occupancy certificate for a maximum number. So that would
has or hasn't?
Has not from the city, no. So there's currently 380 internally existing, as well as the beer garden that has, over
Presiding member, we may be dealing with maybe differences in understanding as the application of certificate of occupancies. But look, rest assured, we're not out here to kick the door in and start saying you're in breach. But I think it needs to be observed. You've got to remember in relation to this is a very old premises. Okay. So before we had the legislation and red tape as we have in modern society, in simpler times with these sorts of operating premises, they may not have had certificate of occupancies or limitations. So no, I accept all of that. That's just an historic fact. But certainly at the moment, the certificate of occupancy is at 285. It's not for those purposes. So there's no planning conditions that limit the numbers. Okay, and in previous applications, and I had the minor pleasure of trolling through the historic files, planning approvals for all of this. There's no conditions. Generally, it's always been accepted that there is enough car parking, and it's got a sizable parking area. But the limitation here on the numbers of persons is relevantly in relation to the nominal parking requirements under our scheme. and noting that there is a certain number and there's a shortfall of on-site parking. Now, I'm generally comfortable, for the reasons outlined in the report to you, that the parking there is sufficient, and if it is not sufficient on site, then there is certainly sufficient available parking, and most particularly on the times in which most registered or most pubs or hotels in WA, they're busiest on the weekends, and there's certainly for many of these premises in the evening. And Jesse's referred to the footy. So you generally tend to find that when these premises are the busiest, it's when these games are on in the weekend. They're on in the evenings, and in the evenings, the PTA car park is open slather for anyone. So I'm quite comfortable with that. But the condition there on the 400 persons is still having regard to the disparity between the on-site and the available parking in the area. So that's the reason why it's been put on. It doesn't mean, certainly from my perspective, I would be of the view that when they do these extensions, we can do it on a performance basis and have a look, and there'll be nothing preventing the applicant from applying to modify that condition to increase it from 400 persons down the track if we then see that, look, it's actually operating fine, the surrounding parking's fine and it's not a problem. But otherwise, we've got to be mindful of the local community's issues with parking in Guildford, and that's the reason for that limitation.
All right. Thank you very much for those responses. Any other questions of Mr. Russell or any reference back to the applicant before we move ahead with the item? Member Hyam.
Just one follow-up on the sea container. Is it a suitable solution for you, Phil, to have that sea container clad so it doesn't look like a sea container anymore?
Look, on balance, I mean, substituting it for a brick and wood, you might say, well, if the brick and wood just is clad to the outside, and noting, I do appreciate it's in the back area. Look, I think you could manage that. Although the policy is fairly clear in saying certain things absolutely shouldn't be supported. And it does say that with respect to sea containers and transportables. It would be certainly more of an issue if it was front and centre to the streets, viewable from the streets. On balance, look, I think hearing everything that's been said, it would probably be sufficient to have if you're looking at modifying the recommendation and conditions and there'll be a bit of work there because you'll have to modify one condition and the other, but I think you could probably suffice with a condition to have wood or brick, timber or brick clad to the satisfaction of the city to the sea container.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there are no further questions at this point, we will move ahead with the item. And we have a responsible authority report which asks us to accept these uses, hotel and restaurant, as being compatible with the objectives of the zoning table of the scheme, and to approve according to a number of conditions. Do I have a mover, please, for that as the primary motion? Mover? Member Hyam is happy to move that. Is there a seconder, please? Member Premji is seconding. Member Hyam, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you. Look, I'm more than happy to support this proposal. I think it's a welcome change to probably what's a fairly tired building at the present time, and this will bring it more in line with what community expects when they go to the pub these days. I also note that the changes, including conservation restoration works, will be done in accordance with the requirements there for heritage listed buildings. Well, it's not listed, but in that heritage location. And I note those changes consistent with the policy and conservation and management strategy. They're also supported by the DRP, which I think is valuable from our point of view in terms of advice. The car parking calcs, I agree with the officers, their conclusion there. There are, though, a number of amendments that I would like to see, and one I did mean to ask the officers was in condition 1 whether we would go from 2 years to 4 years. It's been pretty standard.
I think we can is that your first amendment?
First amendment is to change that to a period of 4 years.
Okay. So that's amendment 1 is to change condition 1 from a period for substantial commencement from 2 years to 4 years. Moved by Member Hyam. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Henderson. Thank you. Member Hyam, did you wish to speak?
No, I don't think there's anything need to say.
Councillor Henderson, did you wish to speak to that amendment? Any other speakers on that amendment? Let's just put amendment 1 to the vote. Those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. Back with you, Member Hyam.
On condition 3, to change that from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
And
I'm happy to second that. Would you like to go ahead and speak to that?
I was also
okay.
I was also going to add that with no amplified music permitted beyond 9 p.m.
Okay. I'm happy still to second that. Thank you. Would you like to speak to the amendment?
Yes, look, this is it's a family area. There's always going to be a bit of noise in these sorts of places, but there are the restrictions placed on your for these sort of premises through the Environmental Health Act. And I think to limit, as the condition suggests, then I think it's taking away one of the valuable aspects of that development. So I'm happy to support that change.
Thank you. I too am happy to support that. I think it's quite reasonable to have a level of music in a family area. It is, of course, covered by environmental regulations should things get out of hand. Like a 9 p.m. stop would be what you might expect anyway of neighbourly conduct if you were in an area where residents are nearby and other functions. And I think closure at 10 p.m, particularly given we do like to enjoy our outdoor areas as much as we can, is quite a reasonable proposition, and no real objection raised from the city officers in that regard. Other speakers on amendment 2? All right, I will put amendment 2 to the vote. Those in favour? Those against? Okay, motion is carried 4 to 1. Councillor Catalano against. Thank you. Back with you, Member Hyam.
With condition 5, I'd like to change the wording so it would read the sea container to be used as a servery bar at the rear family garden area is to be suitably clad, in brackets, timber or brick, close brackets, with plans to be submitted to the satisfaction of the City of Swan prior to the application for a building permit.
Did you wish to look at condition 6 at the same time?
Yes.
You wish to delete the reference to sea containers?
Yes.
Shipping container?
Yep.
At the same time?
Which excludes the proposed sea container.
Okay, so amendment 3 is to adapt the wording of condition 5 as per Member Hyam's phrasing there to enable it to be suitably clad, or plans to be submitted to the satisfaction of the city prior to the application for a building permit, to suitably clad the sea container, and at the same time to delete reference to the shipping container in condition 6. So that's amendment 3, but moved by Member Hyam. Is there a seconder, please, for that? Member Premji, did you wish to speak further on that?
Look, I think it's quite straightforward there that the sea container's there. I think it can be made to not look like a sea container. with suitable cladding, I don't believe it's necessary to make additional work or cost when you can overcome the issue. I accept it's a policy matter for that location, but once you've clad it, it's not going to look like a sea container anyway.
Thank you. Member Premji is seconded. Did you wish to speak to the amendment?
No further comments. I agree with the Deputy Presiding Member. Thank you.
Any other speakers on this amendment? Councillor Henderson.
Yes, thank you. Just briefly, the sea containers have been there a long time. They are at the rear, suitably clad. They won't be objectionable. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers on this amendment? If not, I'll put this amendment to the vote. Those in favour? Those against? Councillor Castellano against. Motion is carried 4-1. Back with you, Member Hyam.
I think that's all I have, Chair.
All right. Thank you. Other speakers on?
Oh, sorry, there
yes.
was one. I beg your pardon.
Go ahead.
Condition 19.
Yes.
To amend that to read, no bunting is to be erected on the site in public view from the street.
So amendment 4 is for condition 19.
No bunting is to be erected on the site in public view.
So we're inserting the words in public view
From the street.
From the street. Okay. Is there a seconder for that, please? Member Premji, thank you. Did you wish to explain anything further?
No.
Member Premji, did you wish to speak to that?
No, thank you. It's fine.
Any other speakers on amendment 4 regarding condition 19? If not, I'll put that one to the vote. Those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Did you have anything further? Okay. Member Premji is seconded to the substantive motion. Did you wish to speak to it?
No, thank you. It's okay. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you. Other speakers on the substantive, Councillor Henderson.
Thank you. A further amendment, if I may, in regard to occupancy. I have a concern with that, and basically I think it should be around the idea of meeting the approved occupancies as opposed to putting a blanket 400 on. The issues.
So how would you?
How would I amend?
Yes.
I would amend along the lines of that occupancy is based on the city approved occupancy rate, and that is negotiable with the city, I guess.
Okay. So maximum occupancy to be based upon approved occupancy certificates
with the city of Swan,
as issued by the city of Swan. Okay, thank you. So that's moved by Councillor Henderson. Is there a seconder, please, for that? Member Hyam is happy to second. Councillor Henderson, did you wish to speak further on that one?
Just briefly, the issue around car parking in Guildford has been one that's been discussed for years and years and years. And the key aspect is that most people don't want to walk more than a few hundred yards, if that. To me, if people have to walk a long way, they simply won't go to the pub if they can't get somewhere to park. So it becomes self-regulating ultimately. The issues around if people park in driveways and such, the regulatory requirements can resolve those things, and they should be dealt with by the rangers appropriately. And again, the word will get around about those things. So it comes down to available space for people to come, otherwise catch a cab or whatever. So I'm more than happy to have it be self-regulating.
Thank you. Member Harmer seconded. Do you wish to speak to the amendment?
Yes, thank you. I'm more than happy to support Councillor Henderson's amendment. I think it gets confusing if we have occupancy certificates through the health regulations, and then we have a condition which sets a different level. So I'm not sure that's healthy for understanding where planning's coming from. I've been to many of facilities in Guildford, and I know that I have to plan ahead to want to go there, particularly say the Rose and Crown or somewhere like that. So parking is an issue, but if you're going to go there, you'll address it before you get there. So I don't think linking this to parking is a good way to go. I think we should just leave it to the health occupancy certificate to control the premises in terms of the maximum capacity.
Thank you. Other speakers on this amendment 5? Did you wish to say anything further, Councillor Henderson? I'll put this amendment to the vote. Those in favour? Those against? Motion is carried 4-1 with Councillor Catalano against. Thank you. Back with you, Councillor Henderson, on the substantive, if you wish to speak further on it.
No, I think we have ripped it up and torn it apart and modified it massively. So I'm satisfied with the result. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Catalano, did you wish to speak on the substantive?
No, thanks.
Okay, thank you. I'll very briefly speak then. I'm very supportive of this. I think it's always good to see our buildings of heritage and cultural significance updated and refurbished and provided with a new lease of life. I think Guildford has very unique qualities, much to be valued, and trust that this will be fitting and in keeping with that. And I think that's the justification for a number of the conditions. We have modified conditions to be a more contemporary level to enable hopefully the viability of the function going forward and to be fairly realistic about matters including the sea container, which I think can be adequately clad, and similarly with advertising bunting, I think it can be contained without being overly obtrusive or changing the streetscape. I think that the explanation of what is required for an archaeological findings process has been made quite clear. I would suggest that what you have put to us in your attachment as the submission, you go first with that to the city, and probably that will get you over the line, given that it's a very clear process with the clerk of works or whomever on site to administer. I think the issue with landscape plan is that it just needs a little bit more detail to make sure that there are no species which are potentially invasive or that could have root creep and those sorts of things, particularly when we're dealing with the character environment that we are dealing with. And as for signage, obviously you've heard there's a process to be gone through for that similarly. So I'm quite comfortable with the way at this point that we've amended the conditions and very much support the proposal in the way that it has been presented, and wish it well.
There is one more, okay.
Not at this point, no, sorry. With that, I think we've all spoken now once, so I'll go back to Member Hyam to close debate, right of reply.
I don't think there's any need to say anything.
Very good. With that then, let's put the substantive as amended to the vote. Those in favour? Those against? That motion is carried overall 4-1 with Councillor Catalano against. That draws that item to a close, and just quickly referring back to the agenda, we have nothing at form 2, nothing for section 31. Under other business, the only SAT appeal for this Metro Outer at the moment is with the City of Kwinana, nothing flagged for the City of Swan. So at this point, I'd like to thank Councillors Henderson and Catalano and the other panel members for their attendance and their contributions to the discussion and item. Thank Mr. Russell for his responses to questions. Thank the applicant for attending and presenting to us, and Secretariat for keeping us all running, and other panel members in the room. likewise. So with that, I'll close the meeting at 10:55. Thank you.
Thank you.